and I'm going to start raising these issues, and I hope I can get some of my colleagues, Republicans and Democrats, to maybe reach out to the White House going, hey, this really isn't appropriate. Alaska's had a rough time. Everybody's had a rough time in America, but really? 19 executive orders and actions? These are just the Alaska-specific ones. They're broader federal ones that impact us, too. But I want to work with Senator Wyden. I want to work with Mr. Sams, particularly on that issue I raised earlier. I think he's going to be very well qualified. I admire his desire to serve, his background, especially his Navy background. And I intend to lift my hold very soon, Mr. President, but right now I'm objecting. But my goal would be to have this nominee who's qualified, after further discussions with me and Senator Wyden, move to be confirmed by the United States Senate. But for now, I object.
President.
The objection is heard. The senator from Oregon is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. And I just want to tell the Senate where we are now and what's ahead. I have asked unanimous consent to confirm an Oregonian who I have watched in action, Chuck Sams, to head the National Park Service that has gone leaderless for 5 full years. Now, my colleague has said, to his credit, that Chuck Sams is very well qualified, that he's a good man, that he had good discussions with him. And I would just say to the Senate and my colleague and I have worked together often here in the Senate. I remember as chairman of the Finance Committee, we had some issues on the budget. And when we got together, and within 20 minutes, we had it worked out. So I would just say to my colleague, I'm ready from this minute on to get together with you, to get together with Mr. Sams. We're going to be here, it sounds like, at least today, and then we'll have to see. But I just hope we can work this out, because I listened to the senator very carefully. And I've been to Alaska. I went with your colleague, Senator Murkowski, when I was chairman of the Energy Committee. And I heard my colleagues, concerns. Well, to get those kind of concerns addressed, many of them, you got to have a director. You've got to have somebody you can hold accountable, somebody you can get on the phone and you can talk to about issues. Chuck Sams is exactly that kind of person. So I want my colleague to know we're going to be here the rest of today. Sounds like some of tomorrow, but we'll have to see. I hope that we can get this worked out, and I want to pledge to my colleague that I will myself be willing to work with him on issues he has with the state, just the way we did on those tax concerns with respect to the budget. And let's see if we can get this done before we leave this week, because the longer we wait, just think of the Park Service here over the holiday. There's going to be a lot of people, because the Park Service is part of the treasures of America who are going to want to enjoy those facilities. So this has real-world consequences. I look forward to working with my colleague, and I hope we can get this done before we leave. And I pledge to my colleague that I'll work with him to respond to his concerns, not just about this nominee, in the context of this nominee, but in the context of the concerns he has for his state. Mr. President, I yield the floor.
Alaska is recognized.
I want to thank my colleague from Oregon, and I will commit to working with him, try and get this done before we head out to recess. We know the treasures in Alaska. As I mentioned, 2/3 of all the Park Service in the country is in my state, which is why I want to make sure I'm having follow-up conversations. I had a good one already with Mr. Sams to get commitments on a few additional issues that matter deeply, not just to the Park Service for America, but really to my state. But you have my commitment to work with you and Mr. Sams on a few more of these issues. And if I may, for all my colleagues, right? And I'm glad to hear Senator Wyden mention this. This shouldn't be happening with one state. There's a Biden White House war on the state of Alaska. No one's getting treatment like this. And it shouldn't be this way. If a Republican president were attacking Maryland or Oregon like that, I would call the White House and go, hey, lay off, guys. Lay off. So I sure hope some of my colleagues, Republican and Democrats, can send the message to Joe Biden, the president, that, you know, the war on working families in Alaska is not really a good idea. They're Americans too. And they got a lot of resources to produce for our great nation, which we need right now. So, with that, Mr. President, I yield the floor.